If the good luck people could tell me what it means when you find your horseshoe upside down embedded in some soil, that would be excellent. I'm assuming it doesn't mean that I'm about to win the lottery. I need to find somewhere else to put this thing. This week I'm tackling a part of the cottage that has been neglected ever since I moved in, and that is the upstairs. Over the winter it has been really cold up there with thick ice on the inside of the skylights, but it's warmed up a little bit this week. The snow has melted and I am going to be attempting to turn one of the rooms I have been using as storage, it's full of half unpacked boxes, into a more useful, usable space. The light from the skylight is doing its best to make this room look heavenly and mysterious. It is neither of those things. I'm not really sure where to start in here. My last house was about twice the size of the cottage, so I've got a lot of possessions that I'm not really sure what to do with. I decluttered hard before I moved here. I didn't have a whole lot of furniture at my last house, but with everything I did have, plus everything I inherited from my parents, plus all of the work supplies that I kept and didn't get rid of, I'm not really sure what to do with all of it. I've got a lot of things that aren't suitable to be stored in like sheds or outbuildings. My plan is to turn this room into a cozy attic study with minimal effort and expense so that I have a desk and somewhere to work, somewhere to edit these videos, and somewhere to store some of my things so they are easier to access. But first, I have to clear out all of this mess. I'm trying not to store too much stuff in the barn, but I have nowhere else to put those and I want to repurpose them for something. If you've got any ideas of what I can use loads of small pieces of 5mm plywood for, let me know. They will not be wasted. But the barn is the first part of the renovation, so everything that's in here is going to have to come out again when I take the roof off. And if you thought me falling into a snowdrift was amusing, you're probably going to want to subscribe for the Jude takes the roof off his house part of the renovation project. I'm sure it will be an absolute fiasco. I've never been happier to be a short man than when I'm working upstairs in the cottage. I am feeling pretty inspired to work on this room. It's going to be really nice to have another usable space in the cottage. And I know loads of people will be like, why are you wasting time and energy on a room that is literally going to be torn down? But I think for the 18 months, 2 years or so that I will have in the cottage as it is while I'm working on renovating the barn, it'll be really nice to have a little study space, and it'll be nice to have some proper storage for things rather than just loads of boxes. I'm going to build some shelves, I'm going to build a desk. I'm looking forward to it. I let Sven outside for the first time today, and now I'm doing that cat dad thing where I'm kind of convinced I'll never see him again. He was losing his mind inside. He was getting really bored, and he's an ex-farm cat, so he needed outside access. And there's plenty of outside space here, so he'll be living his best life. But I'm slightly concerned he won't come back. Hopefully, he likes me enough and he likes being fed enough that he'll be fine. I've seen him once since I let him out, and the snow has melted. It's a really nice, mild day, so it's the perfect day for him to be outside for the first time. In case he can't get back in, I have taped open the cat flap because that's the kind of level of pet parent I am. Also, my door frame is rotting, but the less said about that, the better.
Trying to attach things to the eaves is almost impossible. I can't find the studs in the lath and plaster, so I'm using a somewhat ironic combination of no more nails and nails.
I normally have a self-imposed rule where I don't start working while it's still light outside. But a combination of all of the mess up here and the fact that it's taking about 3 times as long as it should do to do really simple jobs is making me lose my mind. So I think I'm going to call it a day and maybe go and bake something or just sit and read my book for a while. I'm not 100% sold on them, but I think they'll look better when I've had a chance to iron them and they've been hanging up for a while. There is no argument that I can fit a lot more stuff in that space now, which is the most important thing. And if it wasn't a temporary solution I was looking for, I would have attempted to build some like built-in eaves cupboards, which would have looked slicker. But again, it is a temporary solution, so the curtain works for now.
In my world, there is one colour, and that colour is green.
Last night I sat down and worked out exactly what I'm going to be putting on the wall behind me and in the little corner behind the door. It's a pretty odd space to work with, and there isn't much full height standing room. There's about 30 centimeters of full height standing room, and the eaves are pretty steep. But I think I'm going to be able to make it work. The idea is to put a desk along this wall and have sort of shelves either side, and then put a built-in shelving unit behind the door. I think I've worked out how much MDF I need to order for it. I've never really done anything like this before, so well, we'll see how it goes. I've also decided on the paint colour I'm going to use for this room. I had some tester pots kicking around from previous projects, and I decided that I would just pick one of those so I didn't have to buy more testers, because this is supposed to be a budget project. And I have gone for this green here, which is Craig and Rose Pullman Green. The other ones up here, this is Deep Adam Green by Craig and Rose. This is Green Smoke by Farrow and Ball, and this one is Cork Green by Farrow and Ball. None of it sponsored. I will be getting a colour match for the paint because, again, this is a budget project. I've got the paint on order, so hopefully that will come fairly soon. My plan is to do the colour drenching thing that people were talking about on Instagram like 6 months ago. So I'm going to be painting the walls and the woodwork and the tiny strip of ceiling in that colour. And I think it'll be a lovely, cosy green cave. But until the paint arrives, I am going to busy myself with attempting to mend some of the cracks. It's not a huge deal. At some point, all of the inside walls of the house will be torn down. But in the short term, it just makes me feel better. Plus, there's not really much else I can be doing today until I wait for supplies to arrive. So it'll keep me out of trouble for a bit. I've been up here working on filling some of the cracks in the walls and doing a little bit of sanding on the floorboards to try and get some of the stains and paint off of them. And after doing about an hour of sanding, I'm kind of like, well, I've got a couple of options. One, I keep sanding, but that feels like a very long job. Or two, I just ignore it and leave it as it is. It's temporary, it's fine. Or thirdly, I buy some paint and paint the floorboards. I would probably buy floorboard paint to make it a little bit more hard wearing. Or I might see, and if I have any of the paint left over from the rest of the woodwork in here, and then maybe I could just paint the floor with that. And again, it's only temporary, but my paint is supposed to be coming this afternoon, which is exciting. I need to wait for my filler to dry before I can sand that down, but I've also got to undercoat the woodwork, so I might get started on that. Lots and lots of jobs to do in here. I thought it was going to be a fairly quick job to get this room done, but as is always the case, I drastically underestimated how long each job would take.
Sven disappeared for 14 hours on his first trip outside. I gave up waiting for him to come home and left the outside lights on and went to bed, convinced I'd never see him again. In true cat fashion, he rocked up at midnight like nothing had happened. He has started getting under the duvet and snuggling up to me like a furry hot water bottle, so I can't complain. The materials for my desk and built-in storage arrived at 7:30 this morning, and in my half-asleep state, I had them put in the carport, which is not where they need to be. This is another moment where having another person around would definitely make my life easier. I'm going to have such a bizarre skill set by the time the cottage is finished. All in all, not a bad week's work. Thanks for watching. See you next weekend.